Hey, I'm Melody Faith, and without further ado, I want to present to you my list of the top 20 and 20 for 2020. My first top 20 list is the top 20 things that 2020 made people do. Are you ready for this? Okay, number one, spend time with the people that we live with. That's spouses, that's spending time with your kids, that's kids, siblings, spending time with each other, grandparents, spending time with their kids and grandkids that might live in the house. And shout out to the parents who became teachers too. That's definitely a kudo to all of you because I don't have any children just yet. I don't know if I could have done it. Number two, spend time with ourselves. We had a lot of quarantine time, and especially for those who live by themselves, shout out to you for not going crazy. You took some looks in the mirror, you did some journaling, you went for walks, you spent time with you, and that is essential to our growth. Number three, be more compassionate to one another. Now, I will admit there was definitely a lot of arguing and a lot of debating in 2020, but there was also a lot of compassion being thrown around. There was a lot of appreciation for people, and there was definitely a lot of people donating to charities and raising awareness about causes and just being compassionate to people who were dealing with this horrible virus that was ravaging our world. So shout out to everybody who was giving compassion. Number four, it made us cook our own meals. Y'all, I made up some recipes. I don't know about you. Number five, restructure our priorities. Everything that we thought was important was suddenly farther down on the list. So it definitely made us restructure our priorities and reconsider what was actually important. Number six, drive-by celebrations. Shout out to everybody who threw one, and shout out to the people who actually made signs and carried balloons and hung out through the sunroof of their car screaming and honking their horn for somebody having a baby shower or a wedding shower or a birthday party. That was a lot of fun. Number seven, dig deeper for creative inspiration. Shout out to all my creatives out there who dug deep and pressed into God, who is the creator, to give you creative inspiration in a time when we could have just been facing a complete drought. There's been so much creativity that's been going around. Number eight, exercise patience. We had to exercise so much patience in 2020, waiting on updates, waiting on election results, waiting on online orders. Yeah, just a lot of patience. Number nine, face mental health issues. This is a big one because a lot of us, including the ones who had to spend time with ourselves, we've really had to come to grips with the fact that maybe this is something that I should talk to someone about and get therapy and get counseling. So I want to give a huge kudo to anybody who faced mental health issues. Number 10, it made us do awkward socially distanced greetings. I don't know about you, but the elbow bump just ain't cutting it for me. I'm a hugger. I need a t-shirt that says I'm a hugger. But it's hard when we're wearing masks and we're supposed to socially distance. It's like, hey, it's very awkward. Number 11, Zoom calls. I'm sick of them. I know you are too. We're not even going to talk about it. Number 12, recognize the top halves of the faces of the people that we know. We had to learn how to identify our friends by their eyes. Y'all, shout out to everybody who recognized me even though I had a mask covering half of my face. Where am I at? 13. Number 13, acknowledge racism in America and around the world. This is huge because I've been alive for 34 years and there's definitely a lot of things that I've seen my friends, my family, my coworkers, people that I've been around ignore that was suddenly brought to light. And it was brought to light by horrific events that happened in the middle of 2020, but I think it was definitely God that it was brought to light so that everyone could acknowledge it and just take a step back and realize this is systemic. This is something that has been in our nation. This is something that people of color and people who are different have been dealing with for a long time. But I want to take a point to acknowledge that. Number 14, acknowledge that we don't know everything. That's just a given. We just definitely don't know everything. We should probably stop arguing about all the things we don't know and let the one who does know everything take a little more control. Amen. Number 15, slow down and take inventory. Literally, our world was going so fast-paced in 2019. I mean, even at the beginning of 2020, it was everybody was saying vision, 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 and trying to go for their dreams and ambition and sports and events, and everything just stopped. And it made us have to completely slow down and really pay attention to what was important. Number 16, adopt technology and innovative ways to advertise, minister, and work. We had to adapt to technology. I want to give a shout out to everybody who was over 40, over 50, over 60 that did an online event. Kudos to you. The crowd is cheering. My husband and I have a media company, and we were able to help some people do their first online events. So that is huge, because we all need to be moving forward in innovation together. And churches were able to spread the gospel in such innovative ways, like just figuring out ways to still make it engaging through a TV or a phone screen. I mean, just phenomenal. Number 17, it made us watch the news. I don't know about y'all, but I hate watching the news, okay? I'm not one that is all excited about watching the news, but we had to watch the news. We had to figure out what was coming up next, and then some of us watched too much news and we went a little crazy. We made a lot of social media videos that we won't talk about on this social media video. Number 18, stare at screens for way more hours per day. We need to take a break from screen time, okay? If you're participating in fasting or something like that at the beginning of the year, maybe you should just take a break from screen time. Watch this video and then make it the last one you watch for a while. Number 19, survive without new hairstyles, manicures, and makeup. My God. How did we do it? We figured out, I did my own box braids for the first time. If you watch a couple WOW videos back, you'll see my self-done box braids. It took me all day. I was very proud, but not at all at the same time. Number 20, adapt to a new normal. And I might add the word unprecedented to our vocabulary. I had never said the word unprecedented before 2020, and now I've said it like 20 times a day. All right, next list. Things 2020 taught us to be grateful for and stop taking for granted. Number 1, spending time with family and friends. This is huge. Like, we probably took it way more for granted before the year 2020 that we would be able to spend time with people who maybe have now passed away. I mean, people who we were under the same roof with for all this time, and we never really got to know them. But anybody who grew in these areas, anybody who made the most of their last moments with a loved one on earth, just cherish that and know for a fact that their legacy and their memory lives on with you because you had that intentional time to spend with them. Number 2, God's provision. We have definitely, myself included, taken God's provision for granted. My husband and I were sustained in the year 2020 like never before. And it was only by the grace of God. He was furloughed from his job. Somehow I kept my job and I worked for a school, and that was crazy. I mean, literally God was sending us work and sending us assignments to do and getting paid for things that we never would have thought for, we never even advertised for, but the grace of God provided for us. We're so grateful. Number 3, hugs and handshakes. Like I said before, y'all, I'm a hugger, okay? My first love language is physical touch. It was hard. Number 4, parties. All my extroverts out there, God bless you. We definitely took parties for granted. We thought, my birthday's coming up. I'm going to have a birthday party. I'm going to have a dinner. And in 2020, you had to figure out how to have a Zoom party. You had to have a drive-by. Yeah, some we took for granted. Number 5, hand sanitizer. I took hand sanitizer for granted. Okay, I kind of sometimes had it in my purse, but I didn't really use it that often, let's be honest. Number 6, being able to visit hospitalized family members. I had friends that had babies, had people that were in the hospital for other reasons other than COVID that I could not go visit. And it was devastating because we're just so used to being able to go to the hospital and visit these family members. Number 7, nature. We took nature for granted, but I saw so many people getting out and enjoying God's creation, myself included. I did more hiking and walking and nature trail walks and picking up rocks and leaves and studying stuff and just having quiet moments alone by a fountain that I didn't even know was down the street from my house. So yeah, we took nature for granted before 2020, but never again. Number 8, Instagram Live. I definitely took Instagram Live for granted, but for some reason in March 2020, when everything shut down, Instagram Live was popping, okay? Instagram Live was the club or wherever you go to hang out because everybody went live on Instagram. Number 9, in-person meetings and events. We definitely took those for granted. I'm not about to say that I'm one who enjoys meeting about what we're gonna meet about next, but if we have to have a meeting, I would totally rather it be in person than on a screen. Number 10, attending school. Shout out to every graduate, every student who persevered through the end of their term in school in 2020. My God, like, yes, y'all all deserve a party whenever we can open things up and go back to some type of new normal. Number 11, paying jobs. I want to give encouragement to anybody who lost their job through this crazy year that we had. Like, just know that the same way that God sustained the Dunlap house, he can definitely do the same for you. And I know that he has, because you are alive and well and breathing and able to watch this video right now. Worshiping together at church is number 12. We totally took this for granted. Now, I go to a thriving megachurch in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shout out to Transformation Nation. Transformation Church, we get lit when we get together. Like, it's just a different kind of energy when we can all be in the same place, praising God, lifting him up together, have the amen corner, cheering on the pastor with whatever point he's making. I lead praise and worship at my church. It was just completely different vibe to have to sing to cameras. But with that, I can say that now I will never take that togetherness for granted again. And I also won't take it for granted leading in front of cameras, because there's a different type of potency that comes whenever you can connect with someone through a camera screen, look them in their eyes right where they are, even if they're at home or anywhere. And it can still be the same presence of God and the same power that comes through that screen. Number 13, healthcare workers and first responders. We took them for granted, y'all. Never again. Never, ever again. I don't even have anything else to say right there. Number 14, our immune systems. Do you know how intricately complex our bodies are? That God designed our immune systems to work in such a way that it can fight off viruses, fight off all these other infections and things. Like, we will never take them for granted again. For anybody who had COVID and lived to tell about it afterwards, your immune system is something you should never take for granted. For those who had compromised immune systems, or those who were older, they were more susceptible to the virus. Oh, my goodness. Number 15, the movies. Y'all, I miss $5 Tuesday at Cinemark. Going to the movies and going to the theater, I wanted to see Hamilton in person, okay? I'm glad that they put it on, on Disney Plus, but. Number 16, cheering on your favorite sports team. We definitely missed that. And I'm sure that they missed the fans too, even though they've done a pretty good job, at least in the NBA for sure. They've done a really, really good job of making the fan noise kind of fill the atmosphere, but I'm sure it's still awkward for the players. Number 17, toilet paper. Y'all, we will never take toilet paper for granted again, but I need to ask, why did we hoard toilet paper in 2020? Is that something we can leave? Like, can we make it a New Year's resolution to just never do that again? Okay. Number 18, breathing. Just inhaling oxygen without a disease ravaging your body or a knee on your neck causing you to say, I can't breathe. Breathing was taken for granted before last year. Number 19, health. We took our health for granted. There's just so many times that I have taken my health for granted, but I am so grateful to the God who created me and the God who sustained me for my health. And number 20, life. We took life for granted. Life is fragile. It's not something that we created. It's not something that we have control over. It's not something that we can make come back, but we know the resurrection and the life. And anybody who has lost, because so many people went through loss and they endured loss in 2020, whether it was loss of life of somebody close to them or loss of a job or anything. So many people had to endure loss. But I want to encourage you, the key word in that sentence is endure. You are still here. And I want to point out something to you in Deuteronomy 8, because I was reading this story about the Israelites who wandered through the wilderness for 40 years. And we're not going to talk about the fact that they were on a 40-year journey that should have took them less than 2 weeks, but it did. Okay. This is what verse 4 in Deuteronomy 8 says. For all these 40 years, your clothes didn't wear out and your feet didn't blister or swell. Now that's a lot of walking for a long time to have the same clothes and the same feet carrying you the entire journey. If God can sustain them for 40 years, he surely can sustain us. And he surely did sustain us through that crazy year. I want to encourage you, just because 2020 is over does not mean that everything is going to change and go right back to the way that it was before that. We are in a new normal. But the comfort that we can take is that God, who is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and will never change, will be with us through every single transition that our world faces. Thanks for watching.